Hello, everyone. Welcome back. Thank you for joining me again today. I hope you all had a good week. I can definitely say that this one was much better than last week for me, and for what I can tell and what was shared with me, definitely much better for the staff that I work with. It's pretty ironic. I was thinking of, as this week kind of continued, that we had all those crises that we did, considering we had just done a major training on crisis intervention and being able to write crisis plans with clients, and then bam, we're hit one right after another. The interesting things that kind of happen within this field. But today, I wanted to focus more on regaining balance. This is an interesting and important topic for us too, because as we get to this time of year, early on in the year, after all the holidays, we kind of get into that slump where there isn't a whole lot of paid days off work. We're into the end of March now. There won't be really any kind of major holidays coming up where you get time off of work. And so, that creates a bit of a stressor for people, and a bit of a barrier too, because they're also coming into a time where maybe they're just kind of reaccruing their paid time off. So they don't really want to take days for vacation and being able to take some time off when they really need it. So it's really important as we kind of look at what we do as far as taking time off, or knowing that we're not going to have as many kind of breaks as what we may have been used to after several months of one kind of holiday season after another, is taking the opportunity to find ways to balance yourself out when you become emotionally overwhelmed, or when you're feeling again that burnout where you're just not really invested in the work that you do, or you're feeling like you're being pulled away from why this work is important and meaningful for you. And part of regaining that balance starts off with reframing your perspective. So, things that you can do to continue to view your work as meaningful, and reminding yourself of the positive impact that you have on others' lives. Being able to focus on growth and embrace any challenges that occur as opportunities for learning and development. And lastly, once again, finding purpose and making sure that you're spending some time aligning your work with your own personal values and mission. So today's activities will really kind of focus on that and the balancing act of how do we manage the struggles and the stressors of this job when it is kind of tearing us down emotionally or physically as well? And how do we continue to maintain that mindset where we're here for a reason and a purpose? And we got into this field for a purpose, and we don't necessarily want to leave this field. Let's start off with kind of a simple activity, and recognizing that there are good things that happen within our day. Due to our hardwired negativity bias, our primitive human brain can really kind of keep us focused on what's not going right and what might go wrong. We look for potential dangers in order to avoid anything unpleasant. And if we ourselves have experienced trauma, we are even more, you know, attuned to what might go wrong as opposed to what might go right. So it can really take some effort to redirect our attention to see the good and notice something positive. So let's take a few minutes and just call to mind all that is good in this moment. Now let's specify it a little bit further and think about what you love about your work. Perhaps it's the relationship with your colleagues. Maybe it's the relationship you have with your boss. Or you just have a really great boss. Maybe it's a project you're currently working on. Or maybe it's even the satisfaction you get from work-related achievements. But bring these thoughts to mind. Simply observe when your mind wanders off into the unpleasant or negative. Don't try to challenge it or change it. Just observe it, acknowledge it, and bring your focus back to the positive. Be gentle with yourself if your mind does wander. if you're continuing to notice struggles with your mind wandering into the negative, just take a deep breath and refocus on what's going well. Right, so this is again just a pretty simple activity. It doesn't need to take more than maybe 5 minutes at the most, but you can do this and give yourself that refresh and reframe when you're noticing that your thoughts are going more towards the negative, or you're feeling more of that, balance is leaning towards the burnout as opposed to being able to handle the emotional struggles within your day. Another activity that can be really helpful is just kind of reflecting for a few moments about the assumptions you may hold about the nature of the clients that you work with. Oftentimes some of the negative thoughts that we have, or that thought of going towards the negative side as opposed to noticing good, is because of the difficulties that we have with our members themselves. So before you begin your next session, or any time that you're spending with your members or your clients, reflect for a few moments on those assumptions that you hold about their difficulties. What's causing their suffering, and what might be the path through this? So settle into your seat at the beginning of the session and become aware of your body, breath, and the experience of simply being present with your client. As your client speaks, note what thoughts arise in your mind. Notice each time your client does or says something that confirms your assumptions about him or her, and how your mind reacts to these moments. Notice also anything that your client does or says that doesn't fit your assumptions. See how the mind and heart react to these moments. As the session unfolds, notice any attachment you have to thinking you know what's happening and what you should do. Try deliberately to open up to the uncertainty of the moment. And after the session ends, take a moment to reflect on whether your view of your client's difficulties have changed. So again, shifting that focus from the negative to the positive. And something else, and this is totally preaching to the choir. This is definitely activities that we do with our members, or at least most of us do with our members. And so it's not surprising to say that this is helpful when we're experiencing a lot of emotional discomfort or any sort of discomfort, and to help us rebalance and refresh ourselves. And that's to use visualization. So let's start off with a kind of a simple visualization activity, and then we'll go into something that's a little bit more in depth. But take a moment now to invite your mind to take a break from thinking about work and imagine a place that brings you comfort. Maybe you've been there before, or maybe this is a place that simply lives in your imagination. You may need to relocate somewhere where you feel comfortable, someplace that's easier for you to relax. Or you can just lean back and simply close your eyes or bring them to a soft gaze. Call to mind a favorite place where you have memories of feeling safe and relaxed. Recall the details of the space and your happiest memories there, remembering who was present, what noises you heard, if there was a particular scent. And as you remember the details, invite your body to relax into the moment. Another visualization technique really kind of focuses in on taking time to disconnect from work. Studies show that employees often feel guilty about taking time off. And like I mentioned earlier, this is kind of the time of year where a lot of people really do struggle with that, because we just kind of had all these vacations and now we're at a time where there's none. And oftentimes people don't really have a whole lot of time saved up at the beginning of the year because they used it during the holidays. So when people even do take their time off, they often check into their email and they stay in touch with work during that vacation time. And I can say that that's something that I'm definitely guilty of, especially when it's kind of maybe a little bit of an unplanned vacation, like when you get sick or you're dealing with a little bit of an issue where you can't go into work. And then you just spend your whole day checking in all the time or even attending meetings when you're actually supposed to be home and resting and recovering. Yeah, that's something I have to definitely work on. But we need to remember that taking that time to disconnect from work can truly have a positive impact on your health. It can help you restore the balance in your life and make you more productive in the long run. So, in this situation, you're going to do a little bit of an activity along with your visualization, but finding a spot where you feel comfortable and energized, and making a point to really let this moment be technology free. Have with you a notebook or something to write with and your favorite beverage. If you listened to last week's one, you know that savoring that beverage and taking that time to hydrate ourselves is also really important towards our own self care. So engage with this prompt. On my next vacation, I'd like to. And then visualize where you go and how you'll spend your time. How will you relax or just blow off steam? Will your time be spent alone or will you be with someone else? And if so, who will be with you? Let your mind wander and don't really get caught up in any of the constraints like time or money. And just take an opportunity to jot down all these thoughts if you want to. If you don't want to write it out, you can just take the time and visualize it and imagine yourself on that vacation. But again, taking the time to disconnect from work and finding opportunities to go, whether it's physically or just visualizing, to someplace that's calming and relaxing for you. Now let's move into some activities that really focus more on that emotional distress that we may be feeling in our day that could throw us off balance. Again, preaching to the choir, journaling, right? Our minds can really truly feel cluttered, and with those daily to-do lists, the worries that are going on, and anything else that might be kind of just sitting there within our thoughts and our minds. So the act of journaling really invites you to take a break, clear your mind, and intentionally check out from work and check in on yourself. So find a piece of paper or a blank page in your journal or notebook and just take about 3 minutes to write down all the things that are taking up space in your mind. Let this be a free-form writing exercise. You can choose to write in bullet points or full sentences. Don't overthink it, but just give yourself permission to get all the thoughts out of your mind and down on the paper in front of you. When you're done with this, review what you wrote and take note of how you feel in that moment. And remind yourself that you are not your thoughts, you are not your feelings, and you're not your to-do list. And allow this newfound insight to remind you of what matters most. Another activity that focuses on emotions is just embracing our emotions throughout the day. Embracing difficult emotions can be one of the most trying aspects of any kind of clinical encounter. And this exercise can really help us connect ourselves in mind and body and befriending our experience with kindness. So again, part of this is also the self-compassion. So anchor your intentions to the sensations of breath, wherever you feel them most strongly. After following the breath for a few moments, recall a moment at work when you felt a strong emotion arise. Perhaps some sadness, anger, fear. See if you can feel a bit of that emotion right now and notice it in your body. Next, see if you can intensify the emotion, perhaps by imagining the scene more vividly. Now stay with the moment-to-moment sensations of the emotion wherever they may arise. And it's in your eyes, your throat, your chest, your belly, or elsewhere in your body. Notice what thoughts or images may appear and stay with these. After attending to the emotion in the body, return to the sensations of breath for a few minutes before returning to your day. Oftentimes we want to push away our emotions, and we spend more time trying to avoid them rather than just accepting them. So doing this activity to just embrace our emotions and allow them to be as they are gives us more time to just allow them to exist and allow them to dissipate on their own. This also goes along with another activity of just being with discomfort. And this one can be even more discouraging and difficult for people to do. But it is kind of an important one. It's part of the kind of just being able to tolerate stress and going through those distress tolerance kind of pieces of our day. And on a busy day, discomfort can sometimes be subtle. A tiredness after lunch, an ache while we're sitting for too long, a lingering tightness after a difficult interaction. So being with this discomfort is giving you some time to strengthen your embrace, everything from the pleasant to the unpleasant. So if everything is going right, you'll find that you're already breathing, and simply notice the sensations. See where you feel your breath most strongly in your body. It may be at the nostrils, at your chest, or in your belly. And just stay with the sensations of each breath. If your mind wanders, simply guide your attention back to the breath gently. After following the breath for a few moments, locate any discomfort in the body. Perhaps it's an ache or an itch. Rather than reacting, bring your full attention to the discomfort. Notice its texture and how it changes from moment to moment. Stay with the sensations of discomfort as long as you can, and then one breath more before shifting. After you attend to the discomfort by shifting or doing whatever you need to do to take care of it, return to the sensations of the breath for a few minutes. So learning again just to kind of spend some time within your discomfort. And that activity comes from the anti-burnout card deck once again. So something else that we can do is just setting intention throughout our day. It can be an intention that's just for within the moment, the days, the weeks, however long we want to, or it can be very specific for a particular type of event or situation. But oftentimes we really allow a lot of time to go by without really being aware of what we want, where we want to go, what we want to achieve. And setting an intention helps us to bring a focused attention to your brain that impacts how we feel, how we act, how we speak, and what we believe. So take a moment now to set an intention for the day, maybe the week, or even a longer term. What do you want to achieve? How will it impact you? And why is it important to you? Keep your intentions simple to start. You can write a short paragraph about your intention or a simple phrase and why it's important, and keep it somewhere where you will see it often. Revisit your intention regularly to inspire you to move through your workdays with more meaning. So this next activity again comes from the anti-burnout card deck, and this is setting intention specifically about balancing between clients. So we often forget to care for ourselves between clients, right? That's kind of what this is all about, is making sure that we take care of ourselves and knowing that we are not always very good at this. And it can be really draining to be in a space of absorbing others' experiences without regularly tuning into our own. So first, place a hand on your heart And take a moment to recognize just how intense the work of psychotherapy, counseling, whatever it is that you do within the mental health field is for you. Then experiment with the phrases that allow you to wish both your clients well and yourself. Even as my client suffers, so do I. And I wish us both well. May we both be free from suffering. May we both live at ease. May we both accept ourselves as we are. And I would end this practice with a good deep breath just to kind of cleanse how you're feeling and bring your focus back to the present moment. Another activity from the anti-burnout card deck is working on forgiveness and letting go of poison. And forgiveness is a difficult topic. It's a topic that can be very difficult to talk about with our clients, and it's something that people have, very different definitions on. But forgiveness truly isn't about ignoring an injustice, but creating space for a life free from past wounds. Forgiveness isn't about the other person, it's more about ourselves. So start with small acts to forgive, and if this practice is too intense, go ahead and stop. Right? But find a comfortable posture to anchor to ground yourself in the present. Open with the phrase, "To anyone I have hurt or harmed, knowingly or unknowingly, I ask for forgiveness." As you say this, certain images may arise of people or events. So continue to say silently to yourself, "I ask your forgiveness." Now consider the ways you may have harmed yourself, maybe simply by just not taking care of yourself. And experiment with letting go of these resentments. So say to yourself, "For the ways I have harmed myself, knowingly and unknowingly, I offer forgiveness." When you're ready, and don't rush or force this, it's okay to stay with the earliest steps for as long as you need to, or as short as you need to. But set an intention to forgive those who have harmed you. And if you feel ready, say to yourself, "To those who have hurt or harmed me, knowingly or unknowingly, I offer forgiveness." But if this feels again too overwhelming, just go ahead and return to the anchor. When you're done with each of these, take a few deep breaths, open your eyes, and set an intention again to maintain this attitude of forgiveness. Now, you may be kind of wondering what this really has to do about balancing your emotions of the work, but oftentimes, again, that burnout or even the vicarious trauma can cause us to become more detached from those that we work with. And so we may take things that they say or do personal when it isn't personal. Or we may inadvertently say or do things that could potentially be harmful to those that we work with. Maybe we're not paying as much of attention or focus on them because we're feeling that burnout. So this offers us that forgiveness of just kind of being human and helping us to set that intention of, I'm going to continue to forgive myself and others throughout the day. And maybe even setting an additional intention on how am I going to continue to notice the good so I don't have that disconnect again that comes up if things are feeling overwhelming throughout my day. All right. So before we get to really the last section that I want to get into, which is meditation, and I have several different meditation and mindfulness exercises to share with you, I did want to share another activity. This one I really like, and I have to kind of do it myself, especially when I get those calls and they're like, "Courtney, there is a a guardian on the line and they want to talk to you about so and so. That's never fun to get those kind of calls when somebody's calling to make a complaint. It's also never fun when maybe a staff member isn't available, and so the only choice is for the supervisor to take it, and you're kind of dealing with someone who you don't know and maybe don't even know a whole lot about, and you're trying to de-escalate them over the phone. I had a situation like that over the week. And this client literally like cussed me out. I don't want to talk to you, and had to kind of take some opportunities to calm them down. And did finally get them to someone that they preferred to talk about, but luckily they were calmer before they even got to that person. So this activity is about answering the phone and recognizing again that dealing with those phone calls can be that another source of stress. We also have those members or those clients, whichever you call them, that when we see their name pop up on our phone, we just have that kind of cringe moment, like, oh goodness, what's going to happen now? I see that in myself, and I also see it happen in supervision when my staff members' phones go off and I watch them kind of like ignore the call and roll their eyes, or even they look at me and they're like, oh, I don't really want to deal with them today. So recognizing that these phone calls can cause stress, not knowing who or what may greet you on the other end of the phone, having that opportunity to take time to be more present before we even pick up that phone. Kind of prepare ourselves for whatever may greet us on that other end. So when the phone rings, just kind of deeply listen to the sound. You don't have to answer it right away. Just, listen to the sound of the ringer before you even make any move to answer the call. And notice also how your body and your mind responds to that ring. And I would say if you don't like the sound of your ringtone, change it. Okay. As you pick up the phone, feel its weight, texture, temperature, or other physical properties. You're grounding yourself in the moment. Let yourself be aware of any automatic reactions that you may have to the name or number that appears on the phone. And as the conversation begins, remain aware of both speaking and listening. So again, ground yourself, keep yourself attuned to the moment. Hear the sound of your own voice, listen to the sound of the caller's voice, monitor any reactions that may arise, and if you find yourself getting caught up in them, stay connected with your body or some other anchor. As the call finishes, pause and bring attention back to your body, paying particularly attention to any areas of tightness or tension. And breathe into these areas, making space for whatever sensations or emotions are there. All right, so let's now move into my favorite activities, meditation. So a 10 to 20 minute meditation can do wonders to refresh your mind, your body. It can boost your mood, it can increase creativity, and improve your focus. So find a space where you can comfortably sit or lie down and rest your eyes without being interrupted. This may be more difficult during the workday, and this may be something that you do as you take a break. Maybe you go out and you sit in your car to meditate, or maybe you take that intentional break where you're going to go someplace where you can do this. But again, finding that space where you can do that throughout your workday is going to be important for you. So a simple, really way to meditate is just to choose a posture that feels comfortable and supportive of yourself. And set a timer for your desired meditation time. Just close your eyes, letting them rest inside your eye sockets. Take a few deep, intentional breaths. Then allow your breath to return to its natural rhythm. Invite the muscles and tissues throughout your body to relax with each exhale. When you notice your mind lost in thought, simply acknowledge it and guide it back to your breath or the sounds around you. Now, for some people, being able to meditate like that isn't very easy. They need something that is more guided. They may need, other things to kind of help them meditate, maybe whether that's music or, mindfulness bells or something along those lines where they're able to focus on something. We don't all do very well in quiet, even when we really need it. So the next few things that I'm going to share with you are kind of meditation breaks or mindfulness breaks that you can do that are more guided. So the first one is really just a mini mindfulness break. And recognizing that, I just mentioned 10 to 20 minutes, we may not have time to be able to do that. And we may look at that and go, yeah, that 20 minutes I could have been taking doing my notes. But finding the opportunities to have these little mini mindfulness breaks is important through our day. So we can still make a habit of pausing and just checking in with yourself between different sessions and tasks that we're doing. So this starts off with just bringing awareness to any strong sensations or energy in your body or your mind. Name or label the sensations, like lower back is tight, my mind is racing, my hand is numb, whatever it may be. Now gently direct your attention to the sensations of breathing, focusing on the tip of your nose if you're feeling drowsy and fatigued, or the belly if your mind is overreactive, because this is going to help focus you a little bit more. Expand your awareness from the feel of your breath to all the sensations of your body. Expand fuller awareness of the breath, the body, and the sounds near and far. And notice what's arising and passing away. And as you feel your body just kind of coming to that rest or the relaxation, or you're feeling the energy kind of check in is what you need, however you choose to use this little break, you can go ahead and just take one good last deep breath and move forward without your day. The next meditation comes directly from the anti-burnout card deck. So again, these are ones that are specifically written for clinicians. My channel has a lot of different meditations and visualization techniques that are just going to continue to grow. So I encourage you to spend some time, if you need some other ones, and be able to use those as they're helpful. But there are a lot out there that are really great meditations that you can use if you need that more guided practice. This one from the anti-burnout card deck is the 4 elements meditation. So use this practice to find balance again when you've been really thrown off kilter after a heated interaction, an upsetting event, or an unpleasant surprise. Anything that has just unhinged your balance. Okay? So earth. Breathe in and out through your nose for 5 to 10 breaths. Visualize a magnificent mountain while you are breathing. Feel yourself becoming grounded and rooted in the earth. Water. Continue to breathe in and out through your nose. Now shifting to breathing in through the nose and out through the mouth for 5 to 10 breaths. Imagine a waterfall flowing through and cleansing your body and refreshing your spirit with each breath. Let go of any tightness or tension that you may be holding. Moving on to fire, you may need to take just kind of a big cleansing breath to be able to switch up your breathing for this one. So go ahead and take a good breath in through your nose, then out through your mouth. Now switch it up where you're breathing in through your mouth and out through your nose for 5 to 10 breaths. And visualize the warmth and energy of a gentle fire coming in as you breathe in through your mouth and out through your nose. Now air. On your next inhale breath through your mouth, go ahead and shift to where you're breathing back out through your mouth. So you're going to breathe in through your mouth and out through your mouth 5 to 10 times. And as you're doing this, visualize spaciousness and openness of the sky. And see if you can bring this lightness to your body and mind. And just rest here for a few moments. And take another moment and ask yourself, what in this exercise might you need more of? What felt more compelling to you? Earth, water, fire, or air? And offer it to yourself. And you can offer it to yourself by going through that particular element one last time. All right, so our last activity for today is the walking to the waiting room meditation. So this is a walking exercise. We talked about that in one of our other videos of just kind of being able to be mindful as we're walking, doing from one thing to another. So this is adding that mindful walk, but also making it kind of more specific and intentional. So it starts off again with recognizing, like, who knows what's behind that door today? You don't know what you're going to walk out to as soon as you go to the waiting room. But can you greet whatever lies behind it with fresh senses and beginner's mind, despite what you may already know about your client? So as you're walking to the waiting room, take a few conscious breaths, aware of body sensation as you rise from your chair, and maintain your awareness of sensations as you walk to greet your client. As your eyes greet your client, stay with the sensations as you speak and your client responds. Remain open and aware of what arises in mind and body as you walk together into your office. Now, this one may take a little bit more practice for a lot of people. I do recognize, and I do this with some of my clients, but not all of them, where as soon as you go to greet them, you immediately kind of jump into your session. You don't have to do that. Remember, that time between when you're picking them up from the waiting room and walking to your office is just kind of time to reflect and get ready for the session. In reality, you shouldn't even be starting that session until you're behind closed doors anyways, if you're kind of talking about the idea of confidentiality. But using that moment and even allowing the client the moment to just be mindful to ground themselves and be prepared for sitting down and opening up and talking about whatever it is their goal is for that day within your session. All right, so these are all, again, activities towards helping us to refresh ourselves and finding ways to kind of reinvigorate our mind once again on why we do the work that we do, and finding the opportunity to regain our balance through the day as it's thrown off through the different challenges that we may face. I hope that you found these activities helpful. And remember that you can kind of come back to this at any point in time that you like. There are plenty of other exercises within my channel that you're welcome to peruse and use as you see fit. But I thank you once again for joining me today. I hope that you all have an amazing week moving forward for you. And until next time, take care.